One of Illumination's greatest strengths is the variety of characters. Think about it. The Minions, the Easter Bunny, and the entire cast of the original Super Mario Bros. Game, and a Donkey Kong 2, are under the umbrella of Illumination's ever-growing roster. Of course, this begs the question, which Illumination adventures are the most adventurous?
I'm doing superhero stuff! Tip, 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 tip.
That is, which heroes have rightfully earned the highest hero status. Hey guys, I'm Brad with WickedBinge, and this is Illumination Heroes, Good to Most Heroic. Now, let's begin the countdown. As you'd expect from the title, these characters are the good. Ironically, the least heroic Illumination heroes are its mascots, the Minions. This may be a surprise, and before anyone asks, no, we aren't putting them at the bottom because of their notorious meme status. Rather, we're placing them here because of the nature of their species. During the documentary-style opening of the first Minions movie, it's revealed that throughout history, the Minions instinctively serve the most evil mastermind they can find. This means that no matter who they're serving, they're just following orders. Make that what you will. But that's not to say that the Minions lack any goodwill. They can be friendly with others, and generally just want to serve their masters. They aren't out to hurt anyone, unless it's their master's bidding, and they are fiercely loyal. In Minions Rise of Gru, they went to save Gru when he was kidnapped and even saved his life from the Vicious Five. They're at the bottom because they had the least heroic ambitions out of the Illumination Heroes roster, and almost definitely the highest historical kill count. Next is the Grinch. The Grinch is one of Illumination's smallest scale heroes and villains. His villain motivation begins and ends at a hatred for Christmas and everything surrounding it. The Grinch isn't quite supervillain level, but he is a jerk for the majority of the movie, and only comes to Whoville when he needs food or to bully the townspeople. We'll give him the Envy Medal for his jealousy of the townspeople enjoying Christmas. Speaking of which, we have to feel bad for the Grinch. He grew up without parents or friends and was left unadopted in a foster home for years until he eventually ran away. Thankfully, he realizes that people actually don't hate him, and that he therefore doesn't have to hate Christmas, returning all the stuff he stole from the people. While we sympathize with and respect him for the redemption arc, we can't place him any higher due to the fact that his heroism is on a much smaller scale than other characters down the line. Now we got the protagonist of the Lorax movie, Zac Efron. I mean, Ted. First of all, no 12-year-old sounds like that.
Wow. What does that even mean?
Second of all, we're gonna go ahead and give Ted some credit. Ultimately, he helped bring natural trees back to Thneedville, thereby eliminating the need to buy O'Hare's bottled air. Why would we place him so low after such an impressive deed? Simple. Ted was never trying to help anyone particularly. He did all of it to impress his neighbor who said she'd marry someone on the spot if they found her a tree. We can respect his courage to go against O'Hare and help the environment heal, but we still have to give him a low position on our list. Next up is Fred O'Hare from Hop. Nobody believed he saw the Easter Bunny, so he decided the only logical solution was to become the Easter Bunny. How does he do this, you wonder? He takes EB in after accidentally hitting him with his car, feeling remorseful about the pain he caused him. Ultimately, Fred proves to be a really good friend, helping him pursue his passion for drumming and even taking on half the responsibility of the Easter Bunny so he can still pursue his drumming career. There isn't much to take points away from Fred for either. While he is kind of a slacker, which gives him a sloth medal, he's willing to work when the opportunity arises. Add that to being a good friend and family member, and you've got a decent guy. Alright, now we got EB. He's the next in line for the role of Easter Bunny, but it's not his passion. That would be drumming. This is obviously a conflict of interest, but thankfully, EB manages to make both of them work when his dad appoints him and his new human buddy Fred as co-Easter Bunnies at the end of the movie.
I'm still gonna be a drummer, Dad. But I can be the Easter Bunny too.
This means that EB is going to be spreading joy to kids all over the world, which will be earning him some brownie points on a pretty consistent basis. He also risks his life saving his friends from Carlos, which definitely earns him some solid good guy points. Why isn't he higher? Well, EB sort of manipulates the people around him to his advantage. While it's never to an outright evil extent, he does guilt trip Fred a lot to convince him to let him stay with him and help with his drumming career. Granted, he is a talking rabbit, and a lot of people would be hesitant to give him a place to stay, but you'd think he'd be a bit more considerate of a guy who's being more generous. Thankfully, they're best friends by the end of the film, staying true to the way of the buddy comedy. Stepping into the spotlight is Buster Moon from the Sing movies. Really, most of the characters in this duology are nice, decent people, so we decided to go with the most central of the bunch. Buster sets the singing competition into motion, and although a mistake for Miss Crawley results in the reward being way higher than intended, he still does his best best to encourage the singers to put on a good show, although for his lying about the prize money, we have to dock a few points. While he's not out to save the world or anything, the reason we're giving Buster the highest spot so far is that he's just genuinely a nice person. Perhaps the best example is him forgiving Mike the Mouse for causing the destruction of his theater. He doesn't even seem mad about it, which shows that he has a very generous temper. On that note, the fact that he hasn't fired Miss Crawley after that mishap with the prize money is evidence that this man has the patience of a saint. Now we got Gidget. This girl is ruthless. If you're threatening her loved ones, be ready to be pounced to the ground and interrogated for anything you know. And may God help you if it's Max you're threatening. There's no length she won't go to protect him and whatever is important to him. In the first movie, she organizes the rescue mission when he goes missing, and in the second, she masquerades as a cat to get back his favorite toy, which she was entrusted with.
I will defend Busy Bee with my life.
That obsession with Max earns her the Lust Medal. They're definitely at the core of much of what she does, and it can get a little bit creepy at times. But she's a friendly face in general, despite her fiery temper, and ultimately helps save Max and Hugh at the end of the second movie. Plus, it's at least reciprocal by the end of the first movie, so I guess it's chill. Right? Next is Max from The Secret Life of Pets. Being the pet we see the most of, we get the most info on Max in terms of both good and bad deeds. In the first movie, he shows some serious jealousy over the new dog Duke, and they become extremely hostile towards each other. This earns Max the Envy Center Medal. But thankfully, the movie sees him overcoming this jealousy and becoming good friends with Duke, even saving him from drowning on one occasion. The second movie sees a similar redemption arc, this time to rectify Max's overprotective fearful nature. He saves a baby sheep from falling off a cliff thanks to the encouragement of Rooster and helps to retrieve Hugh the white tiger from the circus, earning him a lot of serious hero points. But, and call us crazy for this, we're giving the title of the most heroic pet in the OG cast to Captain Snowball. He's the main antagonist of the first movie. Snowball grew extremely resentful towards pets after his own owner abandoned him. He formed a gang of other abandoned pets and would attack others either in defense or just for fun. But once he's adopted by a little girl who dotes on him, Snowball is a changed bunny. In the sequel, he's Captain Snowball, a superhero who works with a new friend named Daisy to rescue Hugh from his abusive circus master. Being as tiny as he is, this took a lot of courage on Snowball's part, and if that weren't enough, he went from hating pets and their owners to becoming good friends with other pets and loving his owner, being willing to play any role, from superhero to fairy princess, to make her happy. He loses a few points for the whole gang violence thing and gains a Wrath Center Medal as well, but Snowball is just a bunny living his best life, and a good redemption is worth a ton in our book. Now we got Felonious Gru from Despicable Me. When you think of a villainous redemption arc, this pointy-nosed dad is probably one of the very first to come to mind. Even before Gru left his life of crime, he was never evil, but, you know, he was a jerk. He popped kids' balloons, froze people to cut in line at an ice cream place, and committed some pretty heinous crimes, mostly stealing national landmarks. But at the same time, Gru was actually a pretty good boss. Seriously, we all remember that one scene where the minions all pitch in to give Gru money to build a spaceship. The fact that he treats them well enough for them to want to do that, and that he pays them enough for them to be able to, says a lot about his character. Of course, beyond that, there is the redemption arc. Gru goes from a supervillain to a family man who loves his wife and 3 girls more than anything. He'll do anything to keep them happy and safe, from destroying a rigged carnival game to dressing as a fairy princess at Agnes's birthday party. Now, he works as an agent for the Anti-Villain League alongside his wife Lucy. In terms of both career and family, he's truly turned over a new leaf, which is enough for us to place him in our top 10 despite his past crimes. Next is one of the newest additions to Illumination's hero roster, Mac Mallard from Migration. While he starts the movie as a helicopter parent who uses scare tactics to keep his family from migrating, he opens up over the course of the story and becomes much braver throughout.
An adventure into the totally unknown!
Mac learns to be a better parent and to believe in his kids much more than he did at the beginning. That's not to say he's entirely innocent. He can be overprotective, as we've mentioned earlier, and even insensitive. Often, he uses his words carelessly and either hurts or greatly offends the people around him. Despite this, Mac boasts some of the strongest growth we see from any character on our list, which earns him a lot of hero points, especially considering his role in saving the other birds from the chef. We're giving a slight upper hand to his other half, Pam Mard. Acting as a foil to her husband, Pam is about as close to perfect as a wife and mother can get. She's deeply caring towards Mac and her kids, often acting as a buffer to her husband's paranoia and general antics. She managed to talk Chump into sharing the sandwich with her family, in addition to not using gang violence against them, and keeps a cool head when the others struggle to do so. She gradually helps her husband to come out of his shell and actually migrate across the world instead of just staying in one pond forever, while at the same time never forcing him to do so. She might not be the biggest scale hero on our list, but she's a genuinely great person, a duck, who doesn't really have any huge character flaws. That in itself earns her a lot of credit. This list wouldn't be complete without the iconic girls from Despicable Me, Margot, Edith, and Agnes. And no autocorrect, I did not mean girls, I meant girls. Very distinctive difference. Margot, Edith, and Agnes were sisters in a foster home who desperately wanted to be adopted, and when Gru came along, their wish was granted. While they were skeptical at first, except Agnes, who accepted him pretty quickly, Gru proved himself to be a caring father figure at the end of the day. As a result, they warmed up to Gru and became a fully loving, supportive family. They don't stop at being good kids though. They ventured into hero territory too. In the final act of Despicable Me 2, the girls end up helping return the purple minions to their original form and save Gru, and are often eager to join the two in their jobs with the Anti-Villain League. They're on their way to helping their parents save lives as full-fledged heroes, and if we ever see a grown-up version of the three, they may well end up at an even more respectable spot on this list. But whether they're helping save the day or just trying to find a unicorn, these three are some stand-up kids. Landing just outside of our top 5 is the Lorax. The Lorax is a mystical being who's summoned when anyone mistreats the forest. When the Onceler chops down a tree for his new business venture, the Lorax comes to stop him.
The intruder and his violent ways.
And while this is successful at first, the forest is ultimately destroyed thanks to the Onceler's greed and impatience for harvesting the tufts of the trees. The Lorax cares deeply for the forest and all the creatures, and when the Onceler promises not to chop down any more trees, the two become good friends. When they reunite years later and the forest is healed, the Lorax forgives him, and they seem genuinely happy to see each other. The only real mark against him was sending the Onceler down the river when he refused to leave the forest. Granted, he had no intention to hurt the guy and even saved his life, but his temper and potentially lethal solutions to whatever problems pop up is a little concerning, especially for the protector of the forest. Wait until he finds out about lumberjacks. Kicking off our top 5 is Dax Mallard from Migration. Thankfully, the apple did fall rather far from the tree here, at least from one end of it. Dax shows not a hint of his father's paranoia about the outside world, not believing his puffed up stories about how evil the outside world is. On top of being brave, he's also surprisingly compassionate. He offers to personally fetch the key to Delroy's cage despite the clear risk, and puts his life on the line to warn Gugu and his flock about the chef's true nature. He's at his best in the movie's third act, when the chef captures all the birds except for Dax and Gwen. Dax manages to remain calm and keep Gwen from panicking, not to mention fashioning new wings for himself to help rescue his family and all the other birds. All this from a bird who's only about 12 years old. Makes for a seriously impressive hero. You might think he's the last bird on our list, but up next is Rooster from The Secret Life of Pets 2. He's a bird in name only though. Rooster is a sheepdog with the voice of Harrison Ford, which should give you a good idea of his alignment right off the bat.
Get back in there! Come on!
He acts as the defender of Uncle Shep's farm, and oh, Shep like shepherd, I get it. He protects the animals from predators. He encourages Max to stop fearing everything about the world and being so overprotective of his kid. When Max is attacked at night by a fox, Rooster saves him without hesitation, and with how far away he was and how quickly he rushed in to help, we can assume it's far from the first time he's done such heroics. When Max accidentally breaks the sheep's pen, he takes him along on a rescue mission where he leads him to save the life of a baby sheep, and when Max and Duke head home, he gives him his bandana as a parting gift to remind him of the lesson he's learned. He's both brave and compassionate, never leaving an animal behind physically or metaphorically. The bronze medal of heroism goes to our last Despicable Me hero, Lucy Wilde from Despicable Me 2. Lucy is Gru's wife and the adoptive mother of Agnes, Edith, and Margot. She works for the Anti-Villain League and uses her position to save the world on multiple occasions. On a more personal note, she's also a great wife and stepmother.
Love you, Mom.
Lucy supports Gru in his efforts to redeem himself and helps him find his new calling with her in the AVL. On top of being a great partner and saving the world multiple times, she's also a fantastic mother figure who allows the girls to accept her at their own pace rather than rushing them. At the end of the day, she won't tolerate anyone messing with innocent people, especially her family. The silver medal of good goes to a two-way tie, Mario and Luigi. The Mario brothers need no introduction because, come on, it's Mario and Luigi. Whether you're talking about the games or the movie, we'll let you guess which one today. Mario and Luigi are good guys. As brothers, they're supportive of one another, working hard to grow their plumbing business and always sticking by each other, when possible, that is. They're separated through much of the movie, leading to the main conflict, but both of them have their own heroic feats. Luigi showcases some bravery in escaping from the graveyard of dry bones, whereas Mario trains with Princess Peach and Toad to defeat Bowser's army and rescue Luigi, and by extension, the whole Mushroom Kingdom. In the end of the film, the brothers work together and save Brooklyn from getting destroyed by Bowser, with the help of the superstar. Also at the end of the movie, they're still able to travel to the Mushroom Kingdom, so we can imagine there will be many more heroic escapades for them in the future. But while it would be a very different story in the games, our gold medal of heroism goes to Princess Peach. However you feel about Peach's writing in the Mario movie, one thing is for sure, she's basically a perfect human being. Unlike in the games, where Peach has only recently started to break free from her reputation as an infinite damsel in distress, the movie shows Peach as a strong, charismatic leader who's both capable of and eager to protect her kingdom.
Together, we'll annihilate that monster.
This is true to such an extent that she's the one who trains Mario in how to do platforming and defeat enemies. And as someone who's played the games, that's really doing Mario dirty, by the way. But despite her newly badass persona, Peach is willing to take a loss here and there for the good of her kingdom. When Bowser threatens a Toad's life in exchange for Peach's hand in marriage, she offers herself for her people's sake.
I'll marry you, just don't hurt my toads.
But this is no mere surrender, as she still attacks Bowser at the wedding ceremony. She succeeds at protecting her people at every turn, while at the same time not letting the bad guys get any leverage against them. Bowser not being able to kidnap Peach is a wild choice on the movie's part, but it shows off that this iteration of Peach is Illumination's most heroic hero so far. But we'll see how she keeps that position when she has to compete with the Mushroom Kingdom's real greatest hero, Wario.